The desert breeze carried the parched fragrance of sand, cacti, and forgotten aspirations. The afternoon was waning in Dusty Creek, a modest settlement barely visible on most cartographers' works, as the sun gradually descended, streaking the heavens with hues of gold and amber. The pathways lay nearly deserted, except for several horses secured outside the tavern and a weathered cart grinding its way toward the mercantile. Into this desolate settlement stepped a young woman bearing a tattered bag across her shoulder and resolve burning in her gaze. She was Clara Dawson, possessing nothing save tenacity, faith, and the fragile notion that perhaps a stranger's compassion might alter her destiny. Clara had journeyed for countless weeks, fleeing a shattered history she refused to discuss. Her footwear had worn paper-thin, her garment bleached by countless suns, and her palms displayed evidence of demanding labor. She had caught murmurs of a homestead beyond the settlement's border, a property belonging to a cattleman as unforgiving as the terrain itself, yet one who compensated fairly and honored his workers with dignity. This was her sole desire, an honest opportunity, shelter, and meaning. Upon finally arriving at the homestead, her pulse thundered as though each stride bore not merely her physical form, but her complete tomorrow. The cattleman stood in the open, his imposing frame silhouetted against the descending sun. He sported a broad-brimmed hat angled precisely to shadow his penetrating gaze, while his leather waistcoat bore the grit of extensive journeys. His identity was Colt Western, a figure whose standing extended beyond his property's boundaries. Some claimed he showed no mercy in commerce. Others declared him honorable to his promises, though all concurred on this, he permitted no soul near his guarded heart. Clara strengthened her hold on her bag and drew near to him. "Pardon me," she declared, her tone conveying both bravery and a quiver of apprehension. "I understand you might require assistance on the homestead. I possess a strong work ethic. I simply need an opportunity." Colt's gaze examined her, contracting slightly. He had grown accustomed to wanderers seeking employment, primarily men, weathered and hardened from the trail. Yet this woman before him was unique. Flame burned within her eyes, a resilience that adversity had failed to extinguish. He advanced closer and momentarily, the quiet between them spoke louder than any utterance. "Do you desire employment?" Colt eventually spoke, his tone profound, unwavering, bearing the gravity of someone who never squandered words. "Indeed," Clara responded immediately. "I'll undertake any task. Prepare meals, maintain cleanliness, care for livestock. My requirements are modest, merely a workplace and sleeping quarters." Colt pushed his hat backward, exposing eyes as keen as a raptor's. Then he uttered something so startling that Clara believed she had misunderstood him. "Go only upon your agreement to wed me before nightfall." The declaration struck her like lightning. Her mouth opened, yet momentarily no voice emerged. "Pardon? What did you declare?" Colt remained unmoved. "I never repeat my statements." "You seek employment here?" "That constitutes my stipulation. You must marry me before nightfall." Clara's heart pounded against her ribs. Marriage to an unknown man. She had arrived seeking only work, survival, not to bind her existence to someone she'd never met. Yet his unwavering stance made her understand he wasn't jesting. He intended every syllable. "I explain," she insisted, her voice ascending. "Why would you demand such a thing from me? You're unfamiliar with me, and I certainly don't know you." Colt's muscles tensed, his stare fixing upon hers. "Because this homestead represents more than soil and livestock. It embodies my family's inheritance, and the sole method to preserve it requires demonstrating to the bank my stability, that I've established a household, not merely an enterprise. They'll seize it from me otherwise. I refuse to surrender everything I've labored to build. I don't require a wife for affection, Miss Dawson. I need a companion who will support me when darkness falls and the world seeks to claim what belongs to me. If you possess sufficient courage to request work, perhaps you're strong enough for this." Clara's breathing faltered. His words contained peculiar sincerity. He wasn't concealing himself behind charm or empty vows. He was exposing his desperation completely. A man like Colt Weston didn't plead. He issued ultimatums. Nevertheless, she could glimpse something flashing behind his eyes. Something he refused to acknowledge: isolation. She turned aside, gazing toward the horizon where the sky blazed gold and crimson. The concept of marrying him appeared impossible, even reckless. But then she considered her own existence. The evenings spent beneath overpasses, the days of starvation, the recollections she couldn't purge. What did she truly possess to forfeit? I arrived here seeking employment, she murmured almost inaudibly. Not matrimony. Then depart, Colt stated, his voice steady, though his hand clenched at his side. The silence extended. Clara's heartbeat accelerated. She contemplated the burden of her history, the uncertainty of her tomorrow, and the enigmatic man standing before her, offering her both salvation and risk. At last, she faced him again, matching his stare with her own intensity. Should I agree, she said deliberately. Should I consent to this marriage before nightfall, you must promise me something. You will treat me with dignity. I won't become your servant. I won't be merely a signature on documents. I'll support you only if you support me. Colt's expression mellowed just enough for her to perceive it. He touched his hat in acknowledgement. You possess my pledge. The breeze swept between them, bearing the aroma of dust and fate. Somewhere distant, the church bell rang, reminding them that the sun was rapidly disappearing. Clara recognized she had fewer than 60 minutes to make her life's most significant choice. Her hands shook, yet her voice remained steady when she spoke once more. Then you should direct me to the minister. Because it appears I have a ceremony before nightfall. Colt's mouth curved into the slightest suggestion of a smile. You won't rue this decision, Miss Dawson. Not if you possess the fortitude. I believe you do. As the pair walked together toward town, the desert seemed to awaken. The atmosphere crackled with invisible energy. Townspeople gazed from their windows. Murmurs began to circulate.